Welcome. This is the From Deep podcast. I'm your host, Luke Jansen, and with us is my co-host, Phil Wiseman. Say hello, Phil.
Hey, let's talk some basketball, Luke.
Let's do it. So we got a pretty cool show ahead for you today. Popping up here on the right, you see it. Today's show, we're talking trade deadline. Some awesome stuff happened this week. We got social hoops, and basically that just means we find some cool stuff on Reddit and social media, like Brian Scalabrine dunking on high school kids this week. Pretty awesome.
It happens.
It does happen, sir. We got a hot take coming at you. We got a blast from the past, which is going to be hosted by our guy, Phil Wiseman. We got NBA Weekly. Let's talk about the important stuff. And lastly, we got From Deep. This is a really cool segment. Check it out. It's 2 random questions from my co-host Phil to me and 2 random questions from me to him. He has no idea what's coming. It could be basketball related. It's just going to be crazy. But further ado, let's jump into it. Welcome. This is our beautiful faces. We're on live for the first time. How do you feel, Phil?
I feel dandy, man. This is exciting. Talking basketball, us getting together. Well, not in person, but we got the social thing going here. So yeah.
Let's jump right into the segment, actually. I'll pull it up right now. So we are going to be talking about trade deadline, grades, A+, Fs. Who's got them? Phil, I think you're leading us on this one.
Sure, let's go. So I think we're going to start with the biggest trade, at least the biggest trade in my opinion.
Yep.
So we got Nick Vucevic, long time Orlando Magic player, going to the Chicago Bulls. We've got an all-star pairing with Zach LaVine, and what's going back? We've got Wendell Carter Jr. We've got a couple of protected first-round picks. What's your thoughts?
Toss Aminu out of that trade? You're not even going to mention his name? Come on, 5 points, 5 rebounds a game.
I'm talking with the glitz and the glam. I'm talking about the big players. Farouk Amino, he's over here. We got Wendell Carter, prospect over here, and we got those lovely first-round picks. That's what that trade's all about, in my opinion, for the Magic, right? They're rebuilding. They're starting over.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'll jump right into my grading on it. Honestly, Bulls, I gave it an A. It's great. I mean, if all you have to do is give up a prospect, Otto Porter, 2 first rounds for an all-star 2 times now this year. He's a guy who fits very well with Zach LaVine. He's not super flashy. He's not going to demand the ball a lot. He's just going to go out there and get his job done. Like you look at his, it's looking at 24 points, career high this year. He's getting 11.8 rebounds while shooting 48% for the field and 40 from beyond the arc, which is huge for a big.
Pick and pop. That's going to be really dynamic with those two. Think how quick Zach LaVine is with the ball.
Yep.
That's going to be a real nice combo, in my opinion.
Yep. So I'm all in it for the Bulls. Good on them. They're making the rush. You might as well do it now. That's a great team. The Magic. I know this might not be everyone's, but I'm giving it a B. And I know you can see there's 3 other trades that they made. They made a lot of trades. They disassembled a lot. Personally, in my opinion, giving up an all-star and not getting any all-star in return, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth blowing it up for 2 first rounds. With the rest that they gave away a lot for what my concern is very, very little unless they kill it in the draft picks. So obviously that'll be long-term, could be a higher grading.
That's true. Yeah, I give it a B- myself personally. I understand, like, you think about the Magic when they traded Dwight Howard back in the day. They got all these prospects. They got all these picks. Where did they go? 8th seed, first round of the playoff loss every year. This team wasn't going anywhere. This team was going to stay around that middling pack. They're in second last place right now, just ahead of the Pistons. You need to do something. As Kevin O'Connor says in The Ringer, let's blow this baby up. Let's trade Vucevic. Fournier, get out of here. Okay, two second-round picks. We'll chat about that later, but 2 second-round picks. Aaron Gordon. Okay, go. We're gonna move on. We're gonna make this a little bit more dynamic. Markelle Fultz's team. Let's see if he can stay in control. Who knows?
Did you see the Twitter GIF from Terrence Ross who put "I'm the captain now"?
I'm the captain now. That to me was definitely tweet of the day for the trade deadline. I love Terrence Ross.
As both of us being Raptors fans, as you see in the background, I can appreciate a former Rap dropping a joke like that. Good times. Let's jump in the next one, Phil. What do you got next?
So the next one, we've got Aaron Gordon. Speaking of the Magic. And Gary Clark traded to the Nuggets. And who's going to Orlando? We've got Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and lo and behold, another first-round pick, Mr. Jansen. So we've got the semi-dunk champ. He never really won one, but in a lot of people's eyes, basically the dunk champ, going to the Denver Nuggets. What's your thoughts?
Nuggets. I mean, you're getting rid of Aaron Gordon. He didn't want to be there, so you had to get rid of him.
Yep.
I mean, he kind of like, it's not like one of those players that like, hey, let's keep you, let's figure this out. He's demanded a trade. You got to get rid of him.
Yep.
What you're going to get in return, I don't know. It's not generally good when those situations happen. They're getting Harris, 26. He's 9.7 points a game. You know, he's okay. He's pretty good. You got RJ, he's a rookie. You know, who knows what's to come from him, and a first round pick. For Aaron Gordon, I mean, I think Aaron Gordon's ceiling is very high, but he just wasn't in the right place. So, you know, again, I think for the Magic, what we're seeing is like, what are these picks going to do for them? A lot of this is going to be like, hey, this might have been an A+ if they pick right down the road. For the Nuggets, I was thinking about it. I like Aaron Gordon a lot. I think he's a great fit and a great athletic, but I gave it a B+, and the reason being is I'm having a hard time seeing how he fits the Nuggets system. He's athletic, he's great, but they got Paul Millsap, they got a big down there. You got Jokic, you got Michael, what's his last name?
Porter Jr.
Porter Jr. He's really big. Like, they're a very big team, and we're in a league that's trying to go smaller and smaller. I think I would give it an A- or an A, but I just really worry about his fit and how he's going to be a Nugget.
Yeah. Well, I think the concerns are there with someone like Aaron Gordon. I would hope that with him requesting a trade that he is open to not just being the quote unquote star at the team. I think he can slide in really nicely besides Jokic and Murray. In my ideal world, he's going to take on a Draymond Green type of role. He's going to be the glue guy. He's going to be the guy that kind of fills the gaps. He's not going to try to score 30 points. He's going to get you 15, 10, 7, and maybe a block and a steal. That for me is the ideal Aaron Gordon scenario, and he's got to really bring it. He's under the gun. That's in my opinion, at least. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think he's got to go
25. You got to play well. If he doesn't do well in Denver, it's not looking great for him down the road for sure. What were your grades on it? And then we'll jump to the next one.
I really like it for the Nuggets. If Aaron Gordon can step up in what he is, I would say an A. For the Magic, you're moving on. Like you said, he's requested a trade. Your hands are kind of tied at that stage. So I would give it a B, in my opinion. It's an okay trade. It's kind of unfortunate timing with him requesting a trade right before the trade deadline. I mean, they could have held on to him, but I get moving on. It makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. They blew it up with all the other trades, so why not? Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
We doing the other Magic trade now?
We can do the other Magic trade.
Yeah, might as well get them all. Get them all.
So we got Hey, we're a very niche podcast if we're talking the Orlando Magic right off the top with the NBA trade deadline. Hoopheads, I hope you love this. Come on. So we got Evan Fournier from the Magic in exchange for 2 second-round picks going to the Celtics.
Yep.
I personally really like this trade for the Celtics. It's going to give them the Gordon Hayward replacement. That's going to give them some additional scoring. The other Celtic moves, trading Daniel House, I'm not sure if I'm that big of a fan on that move, but you have to do something with that trade exception. Danny Ainge seems to be the king of I almost made that trade. So for him to actually make a trade, I give the Celtics a good A. For the Magic, I'm a little disappointed that it's only 2 second-round picks. I'll give them a C+ on this.
Yeah, actually, we were pretty much right in the same point. I had Magic C+. I know they had Jeff Teague in there, but they did do a buyout for him today. That was announced. So they basically gave Evan, a guy who, mind you, is scoring 19.7 points a game this season, for 2 first-round picks.
2 second-round picks.
My apologies. 2 second-round picks. Hello?
Yeah.
Like, I understand you're trying to blow up the ship, but that's the best you could do? No. Yeah. That's that one out of all the Magic trades. I was very disappointed. Like, look at what OKC did this offseason. They got so many picks. They have 1,000 picks in the best.
34 picks. I love the symmetry from Sam Hinkie. 17 first rounders, 17 second rounders. That OCD and me just so beautiful.
Goes together.
Thank you, Sam Hinkie. Yeah,
well, exactly. So you see that, and then you're like, how are you giving up a guy who's 19.7 points a game, who's only 28, who's a pretty good scorer? For 2 second-round pick or two second-round picks, I don't know. That's weird. For Celtics, love it. It's an A-. Anytime you can grab a pick, a guy who can almost score 20 points a game for you and only have to give up so little, that's an easy A. So that's mine.
I think he'll be great coming off their bench. I think
100%.
Really
and
good asset.
you potentially could see him jump into a starting role if he plays really well. I don't think it'll happen, but 19.7 points if he goes out there and does his job, who knows?
Yeah, we'll find out.
What's our next one?
So the next one we got is my beloved, I think maybe your beloved, Norman Powell, we the Norm, moving on to the Portland Trailblazers
Yep.
for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood to match the salaries match. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'll just grade it quickly. Portland, I give an A minus.
Mm-hmm.
Norm's great. I love Portland. As you know, I'm a big Melo fan. He's always been one of my favorite players. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. We'll see in the long run. I love him. So obviously, seeing a Raptor go there, I think it's great. He's 19.7 points a game. Again, look at that trade. You know, we're just talking about Evan Fournier for 2 second-round picks, and now we have Norman getting traded for Gary and Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, exactly right.
Magic, what were you doing? Either way, Norman's a
Yeah.
great scorer for them. He can create off the ball scoring, which Portland desperately needs, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
Gary's great. He's 22, and I think he's got a lot in him. So yeah, so let me just retract those. So Portland A minus, I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
Missy Norm, but he's going to do well in Portland, fit their system well. For Toronto,
Yep.
A minus as well. I really love it. Gary,
Okay.
ton of upside. He's a spot up shooter, great production. The Raptors are so good at taking young players and turning them into beasts. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're doing it right. You know, like who's Fred Van Fleet?
Mm-hmm.
If you would have said that a couple years ago, Pascal, nobody knows these people.
Wichita State shocker,
Yeah,
Fred VanVleet.
exactly.
Undrafted.
Right?
Bet on yourself, Luke Jansen. Bet on yourself.
I agree
That's
with
what I
that.
love Fred
I don't
VanVleet.
know. OG, he's turned into a stud this year. Like they're so good at taking young, talented players and using them well. So I love Gary and Hood. You know what? Since I've been a big Portland fan, I know he's coming off the injury. You know, it's kind of an up or down, but he did average 11 points last season. So if he somehow comes back into game form, that's a great trade for both teams.
Yeah, I agree. When I was looking on ESPN's Instagram post about the trade, I was seeing both Raptors fans and Portland Trailblazer fans upset at both of their GMs for this trade because I think they're both fan favorites.
Yeah.
Well, Norm is a fan favorite, Gary as well as Rodney Hood being fan favorites for Portland. And
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The player development on the Raptors organization, Gary Trent is 22 years old. My one concern is that the Raptors backcourt is very small if you're going forward with a Fred VanVleet and a Gary Trent backcourt. That would be my 2 cents with it. But I agree with your grading. I think good on both sides. Give them both a B plus in my opinion, because it's moving the needle. Norm's probably not going to sign if you're a Raptors fan. You have a controlled contract with Gary Trent Jr. He's going to be there for a while. And then Rodney Hood, who knows? Who knows? Maybe you can see what happens there too, right?
100%. We're going to toss in one other quick trade that happened for Toronto, which I'm very sad about. Matt Thomas to the Jazz for 1 second-round pick. Toronto gets an F.
Toronto gets an F. You're not a fan. You love your Matt Thomas, do you?
You know, look, I know I don't know. I don't know why we gave him away for a second round. I mean, great for the Jazz. It's good shooting. They need it. It's a good. Like, I mean, he's not playing a ton of minutes, but there's a ton of upside to him. You know who he is and what he can do in his production and his ceiling. Obviously, Toronto thinks he's hit that. That's the only reason I can imagine they traded him. If they didn't think he hit his ceiling, he'd still be at the Raptors. So
there's another player development guy you're mentioning there, right?
Yeah.
Relative no one, and then comes in. He'll probably be a good solid 10th, 9th guy on Utah, maybe.
Yep. Some good scoring. So
yeah, I agree. I love the trade for Utah for the Raptors. I'm like, I understand opening up a roster spot. Maybe they're thinking they're going to buy out Andre Drummond. Is that me thinking way too positively? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too positive here. Who knows?
What's our next one? Don't you talk about Drummond on the Raptors?
All right, we've got 2 last trades here that we can hit. We've got Mr. JJ Redick, the old man in the 3, Nicola Melli from the New Orleans Pelicans going to Dallas for James Johnson, Wes Iwundu, and a 2nd-round pick.
It's a quick thing. I thought James Johnson was like 38. I feel like he's been in the league forever, but he's only 34. I mean, he's old, but he's not definitely not as old as they thought. So I really don't know a lot about these players. I researched really quick. Obviously, the big piece in there is Redick. I think Dallas is trying to add a scorer around Luka. They got him at a pretty low pick because honestly, he's not having a great season. But if you look at his whole career, he's always been a steady shooter. He's kind of like that Kyle Korver. He's getting a little bit older. He's still hitting threes, but his defense is really lacking. But if he can find his jump shot, you know what I mean? Like the games where he's hitting, he's going to do really well for him. The games he's not, he's sitting. I think it's a great pick.
I love the spreading of the floor for Doncic. what is defense on this team? That they're just going to spread the floor. They're going to hit some threes. Doncic, Porzingis, pick and pops. Why do we take layups? Let's just take threes. That's what, to me, the Mavericks look to be doing.
True.
I like this trade because I agree. It's more weapons for Luka, and that's ultimately what you need if you're Dallas.
Yep.
And in reality, they're not giving up too much. They're really not giving up a whole lot.
No, not
Bruce
at all.
Johnson, 34, end of his career. Wes Iwundu, back of the bench, and a second-round pick. Hey, another second-round pick, you get Evan Fournier, right? If you're the Celtics. So
Yep.
I love this trade for the Mavericks. A+ all around. For the Pelicans, I think JJ probably seemed like he was on the outs anyways with Stan Van Gundy's rotations. So to me, you're getting a second-round pick. You're getting some filler. I'm giving it a C. It's nothing great.
Yeah.
And I mean, JJ coming off the bench for the Pelicans helps spreading that floor when you've got a clog center with twin towers such as Steven Adams and Zion Williamson. Probably helps a little bit. So I don't know. I get the idea to move on, but oof, I can't help but feel sorry for.
Didn't get a lot in return. They didn't grab any shooting in return. It is, yeah, interesting.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Do you want to move on to the next one here? Or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so last one here, just to kind of wrap up this segment, we got Rajon Rondo, Atlanta Hawks trading for sweet Lou Williams, and also 2 second-round picks, and of course our favorite cash considerations being sent to Atlanta. You think he's going to be getting some chicken wings with that cash considerations in Atlanta there, Mr. Jansen, or what?
100%.
Doing a low blow here. Okay.
100%. No, I you know what? I like it for both teams. A- is around the board. For Lou, the Clippers, they need a guard who's going to hold the ball well. They don't need scoring. That's the last thing they need. Lou's really good at scoring. Atlanta needs an extra scoring punch. Atlanta just needs some more shooters, and Lou's, that's his home. That's where he's from, because he did say this season he's retiring if he ever leaves the Clippers. So I imagine the only team he's not going to retire to is if he goes to his hometown, Atlanta. I think that's great for them. Rajon, obviously, he's having a terrible season in Atlanta right now, but it just wasn't the right fit. I was really shocked by it. I think the only reason he went there is because the money was good. That's probably the best contract he could get. So he took it. I think when you're playing with the Clippers and you're playing with those really good players and you have the IQ of Rondo for playoff times and when it's needed, you saw it Lakers last year. He played really well when he was called upon. And I think that's great for them to have that. I just trying to think of ball control. Do you want Rajon Rondo or Lou Williams trying to control the pace? I think you want Rajon.
Yeah, well, your traditional point guard, playoff Rondo is a real thing. We see that time and time again. When we've got a motivated Rondo, he's playing really well. My concern with Rondo is he seems to be burning every bridge that's not available for the playoffs. Literally, you think of what happened with him on the Mavericks. Speaking of the Mavericks a moment ago, him now burning his bridge again in Atlanta. But you know what's probably one of the smartest things that he did with that new contract, Luke, is he has a $750,000 bonus for making the playoffs.
Oh,
the Clippers are making the playoffs. He's getting a $750,000 in his jeans.
That's not
Whoever
bad.
Rajon Rondo's agent is, hats off, man. You did a great job.
That's awesome. Sweet, man. The one trade you did forget to mention was our Heat Rockets trade.
Heat Rockets. I was going to bring that up later, but yeah, let's address it here now.
All right, let's jump into it now because it's
sure. Yeah, so we got Victor Oladipo going to the Heat for Kelly Olynyk. And I'm forgetting the second guy here.
Avery Bradley.
Can you give me Avery Bradley? That's right. And I believe a trade swap, a first round trade swap.
Draft swap.
So that trade swap, Victor Oladipo. I think that's a hell of a trade for the Heat, in my opinion, because the Heat are getting, well, they were rumored all trade deadline to be getting Lowry.
Yep.
And then lo and behold, I think Pat Riley, did a fantastic job getting a good backup option and not really giving up a whole lot. They signed Bielitsa as well. That's going to replace Kelly Olynyk in the lineup.
Yep.
For me, that's a really good insurance. Oladipo's always wanted to go to the Heat. I think his university coach had a relationship with Dwayne Wade. He's always had that obsession with Heat culture and the Miami Heat. It's been a place he's wanted to go the past 3 seasons, and Miami gets to get a free trial, see if he's back to where he is without having to sign him to a large contract. I love this trade for the Heat. When we talk about the Houston Rockets, we think of what they gave up when they gave up James Harden. They could have had Karis LeVert, or they chose Victor Oladipo. for me, that trade decision is really we're seeing the end of what's happened with the James Harden trade, with this
Yeah.
trade going on.
Yeah.
We see James Harden no longer obviously a Houston Rocket. We've got Victor Oladipo's now turned into a trade swap and then filler. And
And
then
Kelly
we've
Olynyk.
got Kelly Olynyk, exactly. And then we've got a Bucks first rounder and some Nets first rounders.
The Rockets, I don't know what they were doing there. That's
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a C plus for them. Why not grab LeVert then?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. Like, if you were planning to get rid of Victor, why? Mind-boggling. But for the Heat, yeah, I give him an A. That's great. How could you not grab a guy who's 28? He's coming off his injury. He doesn't have to be your main piece, so you're really like, here, let's get you in the rotation. Let's see how you play. If you do well, awesome. It's a no-brainer. It's great for them. Super excited.
Yeah. And they offered him a contract to stay in the Rockets. Maybe they should have done their due diligence before doing that trade. And hey, lo and behold, here we are, trade deadline. We got Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a first round draft swap that's not going to happen. There you go.
Yeah, no, it was good trade deadline day. That was a lot of good news coming in. Now let's jump into our next segment. We're going to be talking about a social hoop. So here's our little transition here, and this is the cool things that we find on Reddit, Instagram, and everything I'm going to talk about here in our YouTube video podcast. I will have the links to all of them if you'd like to watch them. So first one, high schooler challenges the White Mamba to a 1v1. Gets absolutely demolished. What's your thoughts, Phil?
Oh, it's just incredible for Gen Z to see this happen. Gen Z, I hope you're seeing this on TikTok. I hope you're seeing this on Instagram. White Mama still got it. People say Brian Scalabrine could not ball. I think case in point, you can see the classic old man game here, posting up the youngin, showing him some fakes, putting the basket in. It was 11-0, was it not, Luke? I don't think the youngin scored anything.
I don't think
Correct me
so.
if I'm wrong.
I'm trying to remember the video. I don't think so. He might have got one. He might have got one, but I don't think he did. No, I mean, he just absolutely demolished him. I love Brian Scalabrine. He's always been kind of, picked on and always answered back. I was talking to Phil the other day about the video. I think right after the year after he retired, 2 years, and there's a radio channel that kept calling him out saying he's garbage. So he's like, hey, let's do a 1v1 and you bring whoever you want and I'll play them. And I think it was 5 players. 2 were D1. 1 had played Euroball. I don't know about the other 2. The only person who scored on him was the first D1 player. He scored 2 points. It was 2-11. Every other game he won 11-0.
Yeah, there you go. Brian Scalabrine still got it. The
1%
that make the NBA. Yeah, don't mess with the White Mamba.
You don't mess with the White Mamba. I think get him a contract to the Raptors. Maybe that's what the Matt Thomas trade was. Is clearing some space. They saw the video. They're like, let's bring him in. Let's bring the White Mamba in.
Masai's a creative guy, so hey, Masai, bring him on. Bring him on the roster. 2-way contract at least, right?
I think so. I think we're in for it.
Take him away from Celtics broadcasting. Let's bring him to the Raptors. I love it.
2-way contract.
Exactly.
We are going to jump into the next one, and let's see here. Which one do I like most? But you know what? Let's. I'm going to save that one for later. The Blake Griffin, his first points ever on the Brooklyn Nets is a dunk. He had not dunked.
Amazing.
From, I think, was it 2019? I don't think he dunked for the Pistons. I don't think he actually.
It had been 2 years. It had been 2 years since he dunked the basketball. In a game. Practice, we don't know. We don't see everything that goes on behind closed doors. But in a game, an NBA game, his first points as a Brooklyn Net is a dunk. That to me is just incredible.
It was a pretty good dunk. It was right between the lane. He got up there. He's obviously feeling himself. I mean, he's in Brooklyn. He's playing with a very star-studded team. The Pistons, as much as I love them, because Big Ben, my favorite player. I got some love for the Pistons, but they've been struggling. I'm super stoked for him. He basically just go out there and be athletic and dunk and do your best. Now, to add on to that, I don't know if you saw that he played the Pistons, I think the other night. So some interesting stuff happened there. So a couple nights later, he caught the alley-oop from James Harden and dunked it, and then looked over to the Pistons bench and yelled, I still got it. And ended with 17 points, 2-2 from the 3. The rookie that was matched up against him got ejected from the game for giving Blake Griffin an elbow to the head. I think there was a lot of stuff going on in Detroit that wasn't really brought to the forefront, I guess I should say. Like, I think there was a lot of team chem not happening, and I think that's why Blake wanted out, especially once Rose was gone. Yeah.
They're
So,
going in a different direction, the franchise. They're going with the youth movement with Dwayne Casey, right? That seems to be the vibe, right?
yeah. I'm excited for Blake. I think he's gonna play great, but hilarious. Like, I think that'll be remembered forever. His first points, just a huge dunk, and like all Pistons fans at that point probably just turned the TV off.
The NBA is undefeated with social media, Luke. I think that's what we're getting at, and that's why we love this segment.
Yeah. Let's jump into the next one, actually. So now, both of us Raptors fans, as mentioned previously, the Lowry peace sign to the TV the night before trade deadline. What's your thoughts?
Peace. Well, it's a little bit ironic today as we chat that Kyle Lowry is still a Toronto Raptor. Excuse me. So for me, that's pretty incredible. In all seriousness, though, Kyle Lowry is a Raptor. He is the greatest Raptor of all time. He's won a championship there. I understand if there was an opportunity to move on and try to part ways, but I think Masai saw what had happened. Maybe the Celtics offered 2 second-round picks for Kyle Lowry, and he decided, no, I'm not going to do that. I would rather honor my guy here.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a little ironic, but I'm really happy to see Kyle Lowry still a Raptor. What's your thoughts?
Peace, pal. That's what he was saying. Peace, bud. This is my house.
And emotional in the locker room too.
It
was.
Well, right? So
Mm-hmm.
On Reddit today, I actually saw a clip. Daryl Morey said they were super happy with the George Hill trade. They brought him in, and then quickly mentioned that the other deals that were potentially on the table were in La La Land. So I think
Masai likes to win trades.
I think that Lowry was definitely on the plate, but they put a high thing for him because you know what you're getting with Kyle. I know he's older, but look, the guy's a tenacious player. You know, he brings any team up. Doesn't matter about his age. That guy's going to be very successful for his next couple years of basketball. Definitely not going to be outputting the way he used to. But again, that's kind of like I hate to even compare it to Rondo because Lowry's way better. But in that sense of like this guy is going to be good for you no matter what. So yeah, I think he's worth the high asking price. But I really hope he doesn't walk this offseason for nothing.
He does all the little things that aren't on the stat board, right? Like there's he takes charges, and I think a large contract and the money he makes is very difficult to move. And that showed us yesterday. Yeah. You have to have the matching contracts. Unless, of course, you got a massive trade exception. So those are the rules. So we keep Kyle Lowry. We honor him for this season, and we'll see what happens next season, right?
My Toronto Raptor champ back there. Last one for the social media. Ray Allen criticizes high volume 3-pointers in YouTube interview last week. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did. For me, it was a little bit of clickbait. It was a little bit of clickbait how ESPN kind of put it through. I understand his point, and the host actually did a really good job of kind of getting into Ray's perspective about 3-point shooting nowadays. He had mentioned that Ray Allen, I think, shot 6 threes a game, and there's now 52 players in the league that are shooting that.
Yeah.
So obviously Ray sees that and is a little bit concerned. His argument was that the best time to shoot a 3-pointer is on an offensive rebound.
Statistically
and all these
true.
kids moving, and all these kids moving side to side, taking off balance 3-pointers might not be the best move. I tend to agree. He made a lot of sense to me, and I couldn't agree more with him with what he was saying. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, the high volume threes, he was really only talking about difficult high volume threes. He wasn't saying like if you have an open shot, he's saying there's some great shooters. Of course, you take the 3 if it's there, but to pump fake, jump to the left and try to shoot, that's not a great take. Why not take the 15-footer that's wide open? It's an easy shot. DeMar DeRozan still in the league, still a very good player, and has highly effectively used that for his career. So it's not completely gone, but it's kind of disappearing. His other thing too, 100%. It's too bad because it's actually it's fun to watch. That is entertaining. You see a guy just like dribble by his man, the big man's trying to stretch out, and you just cash a 15-footer. It's beautiful. Yeah. He also mentioned too his other concern with that is like big men are not getting fed down low, who generally statistically have the higher field goal percentage. So he's like, you're taking a bad 3, which of course 3 is better than 2, but if you're missing a lot and you got a guy who's shooting 60% down in the paint, why not feed him?
Yeah, I think the other part that was interesting in the interview is he was saying he's not training his kids to shoot that way. He's training his kids in a contrarian way of what's kind of going on in the NBA right now, which I found really interesting. That considered probably the best shooter of all time, besides Steph Curry, is telling his kids not to take off balance threes. He's teaching them fundamental basketball, which is important for the next steps if you're going to make the NBA.
I mean, it's what got him to where he was, fundamental basketball. You can learn
Practice,
everything else
practice,
around
practice.
that. Yep. All right, so that's it for our social media. We are now going to jump into the hot take.
Ooh, tell me what's sizzling.
We're going to sizzle your brain. This is mine today. So, Phil, with roughly 26 games left for this season, do the Portland Trailblazers have what it takes to win it all this year?
Now, to win the NBA championship?
To win the NBA championship. Now, let me explain myself first. So, all players are back. CJ's back this week. Nurkic is back this week. Your starting five now is Dame Lillard, CJ, Norm, who can create his own shot. That was the issue with Gary Trent, right? He was more of a spot up, so he didn't have that ability to off dribble. Now you got Norm, who can take to the rack. You got three attackers. You got Robert Covington and Carmelo Anthony at the four, and Nurkic and Enes Kanter, who is averaging a double-double and is fourth in rebounds this year in the league. I don't know. What's your thoughts? That's my hot take. So your brain, Phil.
You got some habanero spice going on over there. I don't know if it's jalapeno level spice, but it's a spicy take. When I think about the Portland Trailblazers, I think of what happened in last year's playoffs. But of course, like you're saying, they didn't have their full team. Now that they've got their full team, I could see them making a push into the playoffs. But to me, there's still so many good teams in the West. You have to get through the Lakers, barring health. You have to get through the Jazz. The Jazz have been killing it this year. The Clippers, we know Kawhi's a killer. We know Kawhi can really do what he can. And I honestly really love the Suns. If I'm going to pick a dark horse in the West, I would pick the Suns first. I understand what you're saying with like the moves that Portland's kind of made. And hell, if they buy LaMarcus Aldridge out and he comes to join them, that would be interesting. It's going to make it a little bit more of a spicy take. But for me, I'm putting that sandwich back down on the plate. I don't know if I can finish that spicy take, you know?
I mean, I don't know, my man. Dame time. That's all I got to say.
Damian Lillard has been phenomenal.
Been phenomenal. Melo, my boy, been playing great off the bench. I think that they have a ton of scoring there, and if they're on, they're on. Obviously, I really like that their centers with Nurkic and Enes. They're really stacked there. They got some good paint. Robert Covington. There's a lot of what I'm looking at this team. I'm seeing a lot of rotations. You can run small ball. You can run big ball. You can match with your teams. You know, you're up against the Jazz. You got Gobert. Well, hey, we got two guys that can stay on it. You're going up against a small ball. Okay, let's throw Robert Covington at the five. He did it with the Rockets. I mean, I know there's a lot of games that they had to win and a lot of people they got to get through. But their team, what they have and what they built on is very strong. So, I'm all in. Dame time, baby.
I mean, you do make a sound argument. I hear what you're saying. I just don't see it at this time. I love the Trailblazers. Damian Lillard's been unbelievable. For me, it's just, I don't know. I can't get behind the Blazers until I see more success. That being said, of course, they did make the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago. They've only really lost to the eventual champs. I think it's basically every single year. I feel like they've lost to the eventual champs.
Yep.
It's not a bad take, Luke. That's a great first take for this week. Well
Melo's averaging 40 in the playoffs. That's it. That's what's going to happen. You hear me, Melo? Somehow, if this gets to you, I believe, baby.
There we go. You heard it here first from deep. Luke Jansen. Portland Trailblazers are winning the 2021 NBA championship. Yep. Unbelievable.
I believe it. All right, let's jump into our next one. We got Blast from the past. We got some Lakers colors in there. You got to respect the past. The Lakers are a solid team. But this one is a segment that my friend and co-host Phil Wiseman's going to take us away on. So, Phil, explain what this is and what we're going to be talking about here.
Sure. So, Blast from the past. We're going to do a little bit of homework. We're going to do a little bit of research each week. Apply it to today's NBA history and culture and kind of what's going on. So trade deadline just happened. So let's talk about past trade deadlines. So I went through, I found some of the, I think, more attractive trades that kind of came through, most impactful trades, I guess would say the biggest thing. So when I think of the most impactful trade that probably happened in the past decade at the trade deadline, is we're thinking of probably Carmelo Anthony's. Speaking of your boy at Portland, Carmelo Anthony going to the Knicks in exchange for Gallinari, Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton, Timofey Mozgov, a 2014 first-round pick, and a 2016 pick swap. Ooh la la, those pick swaps. Still back then they were going on. And then what came in return? We got Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups, and Orlando Blackman, a couple of Bulkman, I should say, a couple of those filler pieces going in. That I
Magic, take
think is,
notes. You see what you do when you trade an all-star. I mean, I understand Carmelo's a superstar, but do you see what they got in return? Magic, take notes.
yeah. So for me, I find this really interesting because it's kind of like the start of the player empowerment era. It's when Carmelo moves to New York. That same summer, LeBron, Bosch go to Miami. This is when the player empowerment era really starts to move, go forward, and start shaking. You think of some of the trades that happened this year. So like we've got Drew Holiday. How many trades? How many picks did the Milwaukee Bucks end up giving to New Orleans for that guy? Right.
Yeah.
We've got James Harden, who got traded for how many picks? 3 picks going to Brooklyn. So we see 1 pick going back for this Carmelo Anthony in his prime going to New York. Those Knicks teams were a blast to watch, eh?
Oh,
I think one of your
fantastic.
favorite, right?
Oh, one of my favorites. Yeah, we had talked about this when we were talking about doing this segment and how Chauncey Billups was, love me some Chauncey Billups, and he was doing so good. And then he had an injury. Okay, I think it was 33, 34, still a lot in the tank, playing well, really just one of those guys, kind of like that not Kyle Lowry in that sense, but that floor general presence of like, hey, we're going to do what it takes. I'll hit the shots when I need to hit them. And then he got injured, and obviously the Knicks with Amari, there was so much that could have been there, and it just, unfortunately, a lot of injuries took that away.
And those Knick teams were a blast to watch. Those are the glory day Knicks in the last, feels like 15, 16 years.
They're doing well this year, though, man. Julius Randle's a stud.
Let's see if they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I hope they make the playoffs. When New York is good, the basketball is so much better. NBA is so much better.
Hey, I don't think anybody saw the Knicks playing as well as they did this year. I know I didn't. I did not.
James Dolan. I think James Dolan.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Julius Randle is just wow. Like, what a complete different change from last year. Like, his shooting percentages everywhere. Just, yeah, that guy put in the work this summer.
100%.
I mean,
one little note on this one
quick,
before we go ahead.
Yep.
Timothy Mozgov, speaking of player empowerment, when we had that salary spike in 2016, the man signed with Los Angeles, 4-year contract, $64 million. $64 million for Timothy Mozgov.
Man got his bread.
He got his bread. That was an interesting year as well. Sorry, but what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, if you were to grade that trade, what are you throwing in there from the Anthony trade?
Hindsight is 2020. I think at that time it felt like Melo was going to go to New York no matter what happened, to kind of give up Gallinari, Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton. But those are some good surrounding players. I would have loved to see personally. Of course, we're playing a little what if here. Melo on the New York Knicks without having to give up that type of haul. I think that Knicks team is unbelievable. We probably see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals, challenging those Miami Heat teams, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think for that trade, I'd give it A+ both ways. I mean, you got Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups, and the Nuggets. Again, I was a Nuggets fan at the time because I was a Melo fan, so I watched them afterwards. And year after year, they kept making the playoffs. That's when they had Nene. J.R. Smith was still there for a little bit till he went over to the Knicks a couple years later. They were fantastic. They were great. The unfortunate part is they got so many good surrounding pieces, but gave up their superstar. So they kind of year after year they would get to the playoffs and then didn't have that guy to kind of close it out, but were just this really awesome, solid team. I really love that trade for both teams.
Yeah, amazing trade. And then the next one here I've got, speaking of superstar trades, DeMarcus Cousins, former Sacramento King in 2017, being traded for Tyreek Evans, Langston Galloway, Buddy Hield, and a 2017 top 3 protected first-round pick, which ended up turning into Justin Jackson and Harry Giles. Fantastic.
I don't even know who those are. Unfortunately, I don't know. Are they any good, Phil? You can tell me.
Justin Jackson, he's okay. Harry Giles, he's like the new Bruno Caboclo. He's 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Okay.
He's actually on your Portland Trailblazers, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Oh boy, that's how deep I know the Portland Trailblazers then.
That's okay. So yeah, obviously DeMarcus Cousins going to New Orleans, creating that twin tower backcourt. Rajon Rondo, of course, being there too, and actually beating those Portland Trailblazers in 4 games, sweeping them, if you recall. So that was a really dynamic trade at that time too. And then obviously DeMarcus is fallen off with injuries, and boy, there was a lot of hype in that trade when that happened. So
You know what I'm just thinking now? I'd be interested to see where Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins have kind of, as we've pushed forward into the league, we've seen the 5s and 4s starting to stretch and shoot. I'd be
Mhm.
interested to see how many threes they shot per game back then, because it was kind of still this like, why are you bringing in two guys that are going to like lock up the floor and not really do anything? They're going to crowd the paint. We should look that up sometime, because I bet you they weren't
Mhm.
shooting that many threes, because if they had their 3-point shooting ability and had that kind of green light, I bet you that'd be an interesting team.
Both those guys can shoot too. For big
Yeah.
men, they're both great shooters. DeMarcus in his heyday was an unbelievable player.
The more I think about that matchup, yeah, it would be really great. But I wonder, I bet you, I didn't watch a lot of like New Orleans at that time, but I bet you they didn't shoot a lot of threes. And if they did, it would have been interesting to see.
Yeah, they're very interesting. What do you grade that trade if you're going back?
DeMarcus Cousins, I mean, obviously they get an A for that. They got a superstar for
Mhm.
now. The Kings, yeah, no, I would give that like a Tyreek Evans. Unfortunately, was supposed to be really good, just kind of
Mhm.
disappeared.
Mhm.
Galloway, Buddy Hield still really good. So yeah, we'll throw a B at it.
B? Yeah, that's fair enough. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah. So do you want to head on to the next segment, or do you want
Yeah,
to hear
yeah.
one
Let's
last one?
let's jump. Or well, what's your thoughts? You got another good one for me, or you want to jump to the next?
Well, let's do this one quickly.
Okay,
Quick
sure.
2 seconds. We don't have to spend a lot of time.
Let's do it.
So when the Raptors won the championship, since we're both Raptors fans,
Yep.
uh, we had some moves being making with Elton Brand and the 76ers. So I've kind of bunched two here. So we got Jimmy Butler, who was
Yep.
traded for Jared Bayless, your boy Robert Covington,
Yep.
now Portland Trailblazer, Dario Saric in the second round pick, and then another trade that happened a couple months later, Tobias Harris, Boban Marjanovic, one of my favorite
Boban.
names to say. I love that guy. Oh, have you seen John Wick the Third? He's in
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the highlight.
So we got Toby, we got Bobby, we got Mike Scott going to the 76ers for the 2020 first round pick, Miami's unprotected 2021 first round pick, which will be coming this year. So see how good that is.
Yep.
And then a Detroit 2021 and 2023 second round picks. So you think about if we go back again here, we're talking about the trades that have happened this past year. Not too much given for two very, very good players in Bobby and Toby, and of course, Mr. Jimmy Butler. And that trade really set them apart. And if Kawhi doesn't hit that shot against the 76ers, lo and behold, what happens in the NBA? That's a big what if, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that Jimmy's talked about it in prior once he did go over to Miami, that it was quite a mess, and they didn't really feel like they had like the guy, so they didn't really know, like they just, the leadership wasn't very good. So I mean, obviously if they win, I think that I'd say you stick together, but then again, we won and Kawhi left. So I mean, obviously there's different reasons. Golden State had some injuries, so there's some different reasons behind it. But I think if you win a chip, generally you stay together. Let's run this back, right? So yeah, I mean, those trades really obviously helped out the 76ers. They're still doing really great, even without Jimmy. And Covington's gone. Yeah, like there's both those trades were good for the 76ers. For the other teams, I would say not so much.
Yeah, that was the end of the Sam Hinkie war chest of draft picks. They got Bobby Toby and a Jimmy Butler. There you go.
All right, so next segment we're jumping into is the NBA Weekly. Boom, big old dunk. Phil, take us away. What were we talking about here?
Well, we would be amiss if we didn't talk about LeBron's injury
Yep.
and LaMelo's injury. Obviously, LeBron now 4 to 6 weeks from Woj, of course, being the latest. God, this guy Woj, these Woj bombs, he's just so tapped in. So 4 to 6 weeks, high ankle sprain.
Yep.
Is this? Are we nearing the end of LeBron? What's going on here? I'm getting concerned for the man. This is his second major injury in the last couple seasons. I love LeBron. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that LeBron doesn't have to be the guy. I mean, he obviously is because he's amazing. But even like if LeBron decides to take a little bit easy, rest a couple more games, play it, you have Anthony Davis there. I know he's injured right now, so obviously LeBron's had to take a huge more toll on, which you just can't happen. You can't have that happen for LeBron anymore. If your other All-Star goes out, you got to have somebody else to take on that extra role. You can't be doing that to LeBron at this point. It was a weird injury. Like, I mean, the way you hit him,
100%.
like
Fluke injury.
that could happen to anyone. I think if
100%.
that happens to anyone's ankle, they're in the same situation. So I'm not going to say it's injury prone. He's coming
LeBron
back.
is
He's coming back
human.
strong.
LeBron
Yeah,
is human.
so
That's the reality.
he's come back. He's come back strong.
Oh,
The
for sure.
guy's a monster. He's super dedicated. He'll be back, no problem. Now LaMelo, that one's interesting. Like he's out for the season, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, rest of the season. That's what they're reporting. His shooting wrist. Yeah.
Yeah. So
fractured bone.
Not good when you find out it's the shooting hand.
No,
I can think of one there. Who is the Knicks player, Landry Fields, that came to Toronto, and he had that major arm surgery. I know it wasn't wrist, but it was his shooting hand.
I think shoulder, right?
Yeah,
shoulder.
But anything to do with your shooting arm, if it's not healed correctly, not good. So hopefully he comes back strong. I mean, he's still a great playmaker, so it's a big loss for him. He was definitely going to win Rookie of the Year. There was no doubt about it. Like, that was his. It was in the bag. So yeah, sucks for them.
Does Charlotte make the playoffs now, or are they done?
I don't know. That'd be interesting. That's a tough conference.
I know. Yeah. I think they'll make play-in. That's my guess. They'll make play-in. I don't think they're going to make playoffs.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens though.
The playoffs are doing the new playoff structure this year, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I think they could be anywhere from 7 to 10.
Yeah. So I mean, you got a chance. I mean, hey, yeah. They'll make it into that buy. Was it the buy-in seed, right? They're running the.
Yep. Buy-in, play-in tournament. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. LeBron now, the big one. We'll just talk about it. We're going to talk about MVP. Does that throw LeBron out of the MVP race?
That is the question. I believe that it does. I think that we can chat about the MVP now. I think what happens is we got Nikola Jokic, who I think's probably slid into that. If we got a nice table, if we think visually, we've got about 6 chairs around the table. We got Nikola now sitting at the head of the table.
Yep.
LeBron's gone off for a smoke break. Who knows when he'll be back? Maybe he's done an Irish exit. We don't know. But Nikola's taken that first position at the seat. And then I think I actually think James Harden's now has moseyed himself away from the bar, sat at the table, brought his martini glass and sat there and is staring at the table, eyeballing the first person to see what they're going to say. Are they going to tell him to go, or is he going to be allowed to sit down there?
I mean, James Harden's really good, but the way they had to distribute the ball for that team right now, I don't know if he keeps up his stats. Like, that's a tough one, right? Like, I don't know.
I can't see voters voting for him as well after what happened in Houston. I can't see that.
I don't see that happening.
Blind eye.
I mean, Giannis, they on the Kia MVP race, they threw him up to the number 2 this week. He's playing great, but he's also had it quite a bit. And we've seen in the past that they don't generally run it back on the MVPs always, unless you
not 3 times. Not
3 times, unless he had a crazy year. And he's not. I mean, he's playing like Giannis. He's a beast.
Or won a championship, and he hasn't won a championship.
Yeah, so he's he's having a great year, but I don't think they're going to run for him. So really, I think who we were looking at is Nikola. He's definitely there. Dame. If Damian Lillard he's in that conversation because he's second in the league right now, 30 points a game. If he somehow still manages with all his boys back to keep rocking the stat line that he's doing without having to distribute the ball and just keeps dropping 30, that's disgusting, first of all. So, I think Nikola he's such an interesting player to watch. He creates the way he just moves is different, and I love it. So I think as long as he keeps up for the next 26 games, 25 games, depending on what they got, he probably going to put it in the bag.
I think the Nuggets are going to really move up the seeding, especially with Aaron Gordon.
Yeah,
I'm really high on the Aaron Gordon trade, so I have a strong feeling that they're going to do well.
He's a great fit defensively, whether he contributes on offense, which is my concern for him. But he doesn't really have to contribute on offense. I think he just crowds the floor a little, but his defense and his athleticism, they're going to get extra boards. They're going to get somebody who wants to be at 25, wants to prove himself. So, I mean, he's an upside for sure. I'm just not sure how big of an upside he'll be.
He's a 4th person on the banana boat. I think Aaron Gordon is. Yeah, he's a 4th person on the banana boat. He's a 4th person
on the banana boat. I agree with that. So the other thing that kind of came out this week that we saw on Reddit was the NBA seeking a new TV deal for next year. Is it
$7 billion is a lot of granola. Yeah, my God, $7 billion. No,
they're coming in hot. They're coming in hot.
Well, you see all these streaming services come into play, and that's kind of what the article said. Like, we've got these streaming services coming into play. We've got all these big sports deals that have come into play as well, with obviously the NFL getting a massive contract. One of the interesting things that I found was that $7 billion for viewership that's somewhat declining during a pandemic when everybody's at home. We both love the NBA, but the casual fan is not watching right now. What casual fans are watching is UFC and golf. Those have been the only two sports that have actually gone up in viewership with the pandemic, which I find fascinating. Kind of makes sense because people love to golf. A lot of people were doing golfing during the pandemic. And then the randomness and action that happens in the UFC, you can't get that anywhere else. So the NBA to look for 7 billion, that's a lot of money. I think it was reported at 2.5 billion was their last one. I think that you're going to get a sizable increase off of that, but 2 and a bit times, that's a lot of granola.
So also what the article's stating though is that this is to also buy out the rights of
regional
the regional TV. And I think that's why you're seeing viewership go down. Like think about you and me. How do you consume your content? I haven't had TV channels ever. Like there's no reason to have it. I Netflix,
cable cutters.
I got Disney. I like, so if you can streamline that, like the NBA has their app, but I've used it once and realized I could watch like no Raptors games. And if you want to watch any of the big
blackouts
games,
are tough.
Guess what? You can't watch them. So like, I think that's why you're seeing a decline because it's not centralized.
Yep.
And that's where the NBA is probably trying to make their sale. They're saying, hey, if we give you everything and you have access to all games on a streaming service, because anywhere else you look, the NBA is huge. It's actually quite invested, like culturally on Twitter, on Reddit. Like NBA is massive. It's like one of the only leagues that I can think of where like, even if you don't know basketball, you know
what's going on.
You know what's going on in basketball. You know who those, like if you ask me who the NFL is, like I can name you 2 names. I love football, but I don't know any but linebackers. Like, there's probably some great ones out there, but I couldn't name you a name for that. But you think basketball, like LeBron, Kevin Durant, Giannis, you've heard those names.
The marketability of NBA stars versus I think especially in North America, is beyond anyone else. I think the big thing that helps the NBA is their faces are front and center. It's always been a star-centric league. There will always be people who are interested in that. NFL's tough with wearing masks, wearing helmets, right? You can't identify and get along with that player as easily as someone as LeBron, who owns a pizza chain. Like if you own a pizza chain, I'm a big fan of you. I don't know how you feel about that.
That's true. It means no Taco Tuesdays, Pizza Tuesdays now.
Oh yeah, he's all about Taco Tuesdays. True. He's a man of the people. That LeBron James. He gets us.
Yeah. So $7 billion's high. I do think it'll be interesting to see what streaming services go for it. A lot of people on Reddit were saying probably not Netflix because they're not really in the sports marketability, but they do have that Formula One season that just came out, and they also did Michael Jordan's doc, and that they probably saw a lot of viewership because that was everywhere. Again, even if you don't know basketball, you heard about The Last Dance.
Yeah.
So, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if a streaming service goes for it, even Amazon. I don't know how it was going to work, but there'll be definitely some
Amazon's
bidding.
Everywhere. Amazon's everywhere.
There's some bidding that's going to happen there. What else? Do we got anything else for our weekly NBA?
I guess just one last note that could maybe go towards the streaming platforms is that Amazon paid $1 billion reportedly for Thursday night streamings for the NFL.
Oh,
so they are tapping into the sports market. So maybe they tap in fully. But that's the last point I got for our weekly wrap up here.
Let's see here. I do want to quickly bring up. Where's we got a couple bigs in the league that haven't been picked up yet. DeMarcus, where's he going? Where do you think? Raptors? No, it's not going to happen. But pipe dreams.
I see him going to the Heat. That's what Woj is reporting. Woj is basically the truth. Until I see Woj slip up, he's going to the Heat, in my opinion.
Yeah, somebody had said the Celtics today, but it's like I don't really see how he fits there. I don't. It's just they're just throwing names out there.
Well, that would be a nice fit. That would be a very nice fit.
It would, but I don't. It's just it doesn't. I don't think that's going to happen. Portland potentially. Because LaMarcus, did he start there?
Yeah, that's where he
started. They're on their playoff run. But I mean, for LaMarcus, I mean, the Heat obviously they're in the East. It's a little bit easier. Obviously,
personally, I'd love to see him on Los Angeles Lakers. I would love to see him there.
LA right now
LeBron
needs to drop some money. LA needs to drop some money, and they need to drop it fast to get somebody in there.
Exactly.
Because, with Anthony Davis and LeBron out, they're going to be dropping down the pipeline really quick on those ranks. And okay, so where do you see Drummond going? Don't you say the Raptors because I don't want him there.
Andre Drummond, I see him more going to the Celtics than anyone as a buyout guy. Yeah. I could see that going there. Daniel Tice moving, obviously, then that kind of changes things a little bit. that for me actually is a loser of the trade deadline. That they literally had Andre Drummond sit out for so long and couldn't move him. Mind you, they only gave up, I think, a second round draft pick last year to get him. So
Which is
not a
a
whole
guy
lot.
who's, and everyone's like, oh man, the Pistons, they're brutal. Like, why would they give that away? And everyone's just like, well, look, it was kind of like here's a firm handshake. You take this guy. Thanks. We appreciate that.
Hey, I think even a limp handshake in this, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are taking it, right?
And then I think the other one, which I haven't heard anything of, but DeMarcus Cousins was set out, right, with Houston?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
DeMarcus
trying to
Cousins.
reach a buyout.
Yeah,
He's going to go somewhere potentially too. I mean, the Houston's just throwing everything away. They don't care anymore.
yeah.
Where do you think? Where do you think he goes? He's not going to Los Angeles again.
I think a good washing machine, and you can get DeMarcus Cousins. I think that's probably what you need to give up to get DeMarcus.
Yeah,
DeMarcus seems to just be floating around now. That's for me when I think about the career that he had to where he is now, it's just shocking. So
true.
I see him going to a contender, but I don't know how much playing time he'll get. I really
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, I think you take a guy like that.
You got to take a flyer on him,
No
right?
risk. There's no
No,
risk to it.
exactly.
And you get them at a cheap price. So yeah, all right. So that is the end of our NBA Weekly. We're gonna jump into our last segment here, and we got about 5 minutes till we hit that hour mark before we cut this off. So
Ooh, baby, we're going along.
We're gonna jump right into it right now. We'll pull up the segment from deep. We got a little swish here. All right. You know what I'm thinking for this, Phil, is I'm gonna have you do one. I'll do one. You do one. I'll finish off. Go.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Kind of on the theme of where we'd be going. So from deep, Luke,
Yes.
is this the last great LeBron year?
Whew. No. Never will be. I think LeBron has created too much of everything. Like, I think even like once he slows down, and he's lost a step, of course, but his lost step is still the same step as a ton of NBA players.
Mhm.
Throw him to the 4.
Yeah.
Let him post up.
That's what they did in the Heat days, right? Bosh at the 5, LeBron at the 4. It
see
works.
him in the mismatch. I know Anthony Davis has said he doesn't like playing the 5, but LeBron's going to look at him and be like, listen here, son. You're playing the 5. But, like, you rest him, play him well. Whether he doesn't have to be the scorer, then he'll be a playmaker. Like, he's too good to slow down. Even his slowing down is just, it's not going to, I don't think we're going to see this imaginable wall that pops up. Obviously, if injuries keep happening, then you might see him go out. But LeBron's going to choose when he exits the league, and he's going to exit at a high point. And he's definitely not at a low point. So, yeah, I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Maybe 40-year-old LeBron might slow down.
Mm-hmm. Hey, he's gonna play with his son. That is me looking very much excited to the future to see that happen.
It'd be very cool.
I really hope it does.
I think that's in the back of his mind. I think that's what he wants to do. And like I said, this injury was a weird one. Could have happened to anyone. He'll come back strong. No. LeBron ain't slowing down. Okay.
I hope so, and I think so. He spends way too much money on his body. He's such an athlete. He's dedicated to the craft. He's the best player in of our generation. Best player of all time. Maybe that's another podcast.
That's true. A full podcast. All right. My first question for you: rank these undrafted players from best to worst.
Oh.
Okay. So, and I'll repeat them if you need them. We're gonna.
Do I get the Jeopardy music while I'm thinking? Or
unfortunately, I don't have it. But
we don't have the budget. That's okay.
We don't have the budget for it. No. Next podcast. Udonis Haslem, Jeremy Lin, Freddie, Alex Caruso, Ben Wallace, and one that I did not know and learned about today, Jose Calderon. Did you know he was undrafted?
I did not know Jose Hams Calderon was undrafted.
Right. No, that was news to me as a Raptors fan. I saw that and I looked it up. It's true. So okay, so you got again Haslem, you got Jeremy Lin, you got Freddie, and Jose. So we're running through point guards here. You got Alex.
We got 4. Oh, and Alex Caruso.
Okay. So think about the point. Jeremy Lin, Jose Calderon, Freddie, Alex Caruso, and then 2 bigs, Ben Wallace and Udonis Haslem.
Best career of all time. I'm ranking them from 1 to 6.
Number 1. You don't even have to put just from a skill. Run it from a skill base where you think primes for all of them.
I gotta go Freddie number 1 here.
And
post baby Freddie has been unstoppable. That man had a son, had a child, and he's been unstoppable. So I would say Jose number 1.
You disrespect my big Ben like that.
Does that match where you are?
No, Big Ben was my first. Come on now. He's my
Yeah,
favorite
Big Ben.
player all
Yeah,
time.
I'm probably skipping over. Yeah, you're right. Big Ben. Yeah,
No,
Big
no,
Ben.
you can't change your opinion
Multiple.
now. You said
It's
Freddie.
locked in. It's
Freddie's
locked in
won.
forever.
Freddie's won. Okay, my
Okay,
first
so
was Ben.
if Freddie's won, I messed up. Sorry, Ben. We love you. Then we go Ben number 2.
Yep.
Multiple time defensive player of the year. 100% makes a lot of sense.
Oh, it's just great player.
So then we've got Lynn, Caruso, Haslam, and Calderon left. Okay. If we're going peaks,
yep,
I think we gotta go. I think we gotta go Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, Linsanity. You have to.
Just the hype that happened with Linsanity.
It was crazy.
That was a great time to be.
He was untouchable. Untouchable.
Yeah. Speaking of the Knicks, there you go, Knicks fans. Jeremy Lin. And then we got number 4. I'm a Heat fan. I love Udonis Haslem. Gotta slide him in at 4. He's still playing basketball. Is he not? He's still playing basketball.
He is still playing. Whether he's getting minutes, I don't know anymore. But he is still playing for the Heat. Yes.
Yeah. Lakers fans, don't get mad at me. I gotta go Jose Calderon. Jose Calderon's my next one here. He has a meat farm, a jamon serrano for my Spanish friends out there in Spain. That alone brings him to the 5th spot. And then we got Alex Caruso in number 6. That's at least my ranking. I like that question though. Look, really good creativity.
You know what's cool about all of them, other than Jose? Everyone has a ring.
There you go.
All undrafted players. That's a pretty cool storyline, isn't it? I'm not going to go over mine just because for time. Actually, I'll just quickly do it. Ben Wallace first. He's my favorite player ever. It's untouchable. I mean, maybe I got glossed over eyes, but he'll always be first. You got Freddie there. He's just unbelievable. You could argue Jeremy Lin goes to the 2nd, but the only reason I didn't put him there is because he didn't consistently do it. Fred's consistently been just really good. Jeremy's been a good player, but he had one season where he was like really, really good. I threw Udonis right in with you too. Like I literally had the same list as you. I actually put Jose last, and the only reason I did that is because he didn't have a ring.
Yeah, and you didn't know about the ham farm. I'm guessing that.
I didn't know about the ham farm either, so that explains that one. Okay, let's question number 2 for you.
All right, what was your favorite non-move at the trade deadline? I can elaborate further if you'd like.
Yeah. Like, give me a little more.
So if we're talking non-moves, we have the rumor mill of Woj and Sham Sharanya going on, where we have, of course, we got John Collins.
Yep.
Of the Hawks potentially on the block. We had Kyle Lowry potentially on the block as well. I would say those are the biggest names that were on the market, but you could also say like teams that you weren't happy with that didn't make a move that you wanted to make a move as a fan of.
Yep.
So I would say your biggest non-move. Like, what was your favorite out of those two, out of the whole league?
Yeah. Of course. Obviously the Lowry one's an easy one to pick, so I'm not going to because I love Lowry, and obviously, I'm happy he stayed. At the same time, though, it would have been an interesting move. But I'm actually going to go with one that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet, especially and it's with the Spurs. Not LaMarcus, but DeMar. DeMar's been on the block quite a few times. He's kind of been talked about. He's still really, really good. I was surprised he didn't go to the Lakers, to be honest. I was really hoping that trade happened. I would have loved that. I'm surprised the Spurs didn't get rid of him. They pretty much told LaMarcus, you're out. DeRozan, he doesn't really fit in with the Spurs anymore then.
Mentor role, maybe? Maybe that's what they're thinking?
Maybe, but he's kind of like a lost art player. So what's he teaching? Jumpers to the young ones?
Ray Allen was saying kids don't know mid-range these days.
True. And maybe that's why the Spurs are a very great franchise. Maybe they're thinking that, like, hey, we're going to try to bring in DeMar DeRozan's all-star abilities and teach our young crew coming up. But yeah, that was kind of my weird one because he's kind of been on the block for a really long time and nothing's ever really came from it.
Off the board. Love that pick.
Last one. Okay. This is from deep. Are you ready? This is where we need some like intense, just drumming music. Just
dun, dun, dun.
Down 2. 5 seconds on the clock. You're going for the game winner. You're not going for a layup. You're not going for a 15-footer. You're going for the game winner. 39-year-old Shaq prepared to retire.
Okay. Wasn't expecting this twist.
Or prime Ray Allen. but he's only 4 foot tall. Both are being guarded by prime by prime Dennis Rodman. Go.
All right. We got 5 seconds to go. I'm going to take a 4 foot Ray Allen going through Dennis Rodman's legs and hitting the 3-pointer. No, his butt cheeks do not block the shot. It goes. We're good.
It falls. Okay, really?
Falls.
See, that's why I thought it was a good question. I mean, like Ray Allen's got his form, but at only 4 feet tall, yeah, and Dennis Rodman's guarding you. I don't know if you get that shot off in 5 seconds. So I think
you got to go through the legs. That's the only way you get the shot off.
But with 5 seconds, do you have that time to get under Rodman's legs? He's a tenacious defender. I don't think he lets Ray Allen go through his legs. He's looking at him. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" He's putting one arm between his legs. The other one's up. Ray's toast. He's gonna have to take the steps, the pump fake jump to the right, the ones that he doesn't.
That he loves.
So he wouldn't have taken that. He would have just dropped the ball and be like, "That's it. I don't like this jump shot fade to the 3. Not doing it." So I think you go Shaq.
Shaq, I can see going Kobe.
Shaq's got the confidence. He's got the confidence you need. Yeah, he's 39, but he's a lot taller. He's got range. He can heave that shot up. I think from a statistical percentage of Dennis Rodman guarding you, I think you go Shaq just because he's taller.
I think we got to go to the comments section on this for our 2 subscribers, your mom and my mom, to kind of debate who they would choose.
Yes, let us know in the comments, guys. Let us know in the comments who you think. You're 39-year-old Shaq or 4 foot Ray Allen being guarded by Dennis Rodman. You're going for the game winner 3, 5 seconds. Who you got? All right, Phil. Well, this was fantastic. This was our first run through. I had a blast. From Deep, follow us on all our socials. If you have any questions or you want us to talk about something, send us a message. I'd be happy to do it. Without further ado, Phil, anything to add in?
No, this is a lot of fun. Let's keep it going for next week. I'm excited, man. This is a fun project that we're starting. So let's keep it going.
Awesome, guys. Well, we'll see everyone next week.